Hello there. Welcome to Almost 30.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay Simsick and Krista Williams. We're happy you're here.
Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about water. So I'm excited.
One of my favorites. I realized that my pursuit of just kind of making my water as clean, filtered,
Mhm.
coherent as possible is a very odd concept to most people. And they're like, why would you even?
Who
Especially in New York, because everyone's like, the tap water in New York's amazing. And I'm like,
I know.
yo, that's also what we've been sold.
I know. It's a weird thing. It's like one of those things you're told and you just believe it.
I
Do you want to hear
know.
something so weird? I think about this all the time. So I grew up in Ohio and it's so Catholic, so religious and I'll never forget someone said to me when I was younger, they said, "Did you know the Bible's never been disproven?" And I literally went around for 20 years of my life and would drop that as, like, an interesting fact. I was like, "Hey, did you know that the Bible's actually never been disproven?"
I guess what does that mean? Like, has it ever been proven?
It's exactly it. Who I don't think so, but I'm like, could you prove that Moses you know what I mean? Like, could
Right.
you it's just yeah, I don't know if it's ever been proven or disproven, but it's such a weird fact that only in Ohio,
Totally.
in kind of, like, Bible area would they tell you
Uh-huh.
that. And I was like,
100%.
I relate because I took it on as complete fact, and I'm like, "Huh."
Oh, yeah. Where they're like, "Oh, it's so crisp, it's so clean, it tastes so good."
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's birth control in the water, there's
Microplastics.
microplastics, and what we now know is kind of like it's chaotic water, like,
Mhm.
it's just and I say this knowing very well that in parts of the world, having the type of water that we have in New York is like a total luxury. So I just wanna, like,
Mm.
say
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
but I do think overall, there is just a complete neglect and dishonoring of, like, our water system and water in general.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point because in the West, it's like we technically have clean water, but it's filled with more
Yes.
toxins and pollutants probably than in a place that has
Well
less clean water, so
mhm.
it's kind of like what is better or worse, but I mean, having clean access to water is something that should be completely.
Absolutely. A human right.
And this is the thing with our whole life, the way that technology is sort of going. If we look at kind of the Elon Musks of the world, we're creating things like Neuralink, but yet we don't have clean access to water for the world, or we
Mhm.
don't have a recycling system in place
Mhm.
that works for everyone from a global perspective. It's just so very interesting.
Yes, and that's why I love the simplicity, and we talked about this, the simplicity of
Mhm,
Analemma.
mhm,
So we interviewed, Mario Brainovic of Analemma today, and the simplicity,
mhm.
the proof, the science proof of it working is fascinating to me, and why we go to the overly complicated, the far out in the future way of living, and we're not, like you said, like, tending to what's right in front of us and what can be improved.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, this conversation is so powerful. I loved it, Lindsay, and I enjoyed it so much. And on Almost 30, we like to talk about spirituality, health, and wellness. And I really like that this one marries both. So this is a very spirituality and health and wellness focused conversation. And Analemma is essentially a technology that's very easy to access. So by putting this Analemma wand in your water, you basically structure all water around it.
Yes, exactly. So the mother water is in this quartz crystal tubing, and basically the quartz crystal acts differently than glass. So the quartz crystal, like you mentioned in the interview, it's like a computer and it really
Mhm,
holds this information, but it doesn't dissolve any of
mhm.
the structured information, but it really allows it to pass through seamlessly. Um,
And computers actually, at their baseline,
our
have
quartz.
quartz crystal.
Yes.
So this is a good conversation because we go into the technology, the importance of structured water. Why is it important for us to have structured water? How water and the water quality affects our mental health,
Mhm.
affects our health, affects our hydration. And we talk a lot about the state of water today and why it's so powerful if we were to get quality water to everyone and all over the world, what it would change.
Yeah, it was interesting to connect the dots because I said I think I asked something like, "So is ocean water structured and is
Mhm,
rainwater structured?" And what's happening in our modern age is that we have 5G everywhere, we have radiation coming from the satellites that are close to Earth.
mhm,
That's penetrating through the clouds, that's affecting the rainwater, like everything is so connected, and it seems like the common denominator in a lot of what's happening in the climate and what's happening to our soils is the water.
mhm,
So I'm excited about this technology and their ability to not only scale this but make it accessible in ways that are like home systems or city
mhm.
systems of this type of technology.
Yeah, it's so funny because once we start saying the words like 5G, EMFs, crystal technology, I think
Mhm.
some people get turned off and some
Yeah.
people think it's out there, it's
Well, it's charged with,
pseudoscience.
conspiracy as of late, so it's
Yes.
like, if we can kinda let that go for a moment and just state a fact, which is that 5G is basically everywhere except for
Yes.
remote
But there
places on
is
Earth.
research that's coming out about 5G
Thankfully.
and the impact of EMFs. We are electric beings, we are water beings, so it would make sense that we're impacted by these waves that are not coherent to the natural waves that are emitted from Earth. And so it all makes sense to me. This is all something that completely is something I subscribe to and understand. But I think in this conversation, if you don't understand or subscribe to language of those words or kind of this type of research, I think this conversation will help to educate.
Yes. And this product in particular, this wand, it's so simple. You stir it in your water for
Mhm,
30 seconds to 60 seconds, depending on how much water's in there, and I'm excited for you all to hear the studies that they've done with
mhm,
humans, with plants, um, that prove how structured water affects your light body, the ability to grow and thrive and be vibrant. Um, and so imagine honoring your water for 30 to 60 seconds a day and having that moment for yourself and also just imbuing this water also with your intention and the fact that it affects your health in that way. I don't know, it just puts a
mhm,
lot of power in the individual,
mhm,
and to, like, share this with your family and your plants that you water
mhm.
and your kitties who
My
have water,
babies.
you know what I
They
mean?
already
It's
have
just
crystal water bowls.
special,
In one of the pet psychic sessions, they requested crystal water bowls.
as they do.
This is who I am. But I also like to think about it, it's just how granular can we go? So if we're in the space of spirituality, personal growth, self-development, we know that talking to ourselves in a positive way will change our life. We understand that positive self-talk can benefit us, can help us be live in joy and live on purpose, and negative self-talk can be detrimental. So
Mhm,
it's like when we're going even more granular, what is happening? So those are vibrations that your brain is emitting that are being received by you, which is water. So you're
mhm.
basically programming your cells, which is water, to think and believe a certain way or to hold a certain vibration. So how can we work from the ground up and have vibrationally structured water that can really support us in living a better life?
Yeah, I was just trying to look up, an Instagram handle that perfectly
Oh yeah.
illustrates this, and I'll put it in the show notes because I can't find it right now, but basically, there's this fascinating and it's more so, like, the way in which she does this, which is speaks to water, puts words near water, puts pictures near water, puts it in a church, puts it in
Mm,
wherever, and how the water illustrates the mood, the feeling, even
mm,
literally illustrates, like, the outline of Jesus or whatever
mhm,
it is. Um, Even though that sounds far out, but even just, like, me following this and seeing this on a regular basis, I don't know, I just have this awareness and fascination. So if we can get a little bit just more curious about these things that we take for granted and use every day and drink every day and how we can really imbue this and, like, change the state of what we're putting in our bodies, I think is very, very, very powerful and fascinating.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of, topics like synchronicity and kind of if we're thinking about as above, so below, which is one of the Hermetic principles, foundations of the universe. It's also reminds me something we learned recently talking to Mel Robbins about how the Nobel Prize in 2022 was research on synchronicity. So it is being researched
Mm,
that, there is a higher interference that is interfering with the lower, like us on Earth. Like there's a
yeah.
relationship between, there's relationships that are happening that are seen and unseen that are
Mhm.
very impactful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm really excited to share this conversation with you all. Krista and I both have Analemma, the wands that we use in our water, and have been loving them. And what's awesome is that if you just take care of this wand, you can have it for the rest of your life to change the molecular structure of your water for the rest of your life. It is housed in like a stainless steel tube. Um, and we have a discount for you, 15% off with the code almost 30,
Yeah.
which is exciting. So you can get your own if you want.
I
But
love
yeah.
it. You can
Yeah.
travel with it. So
Mhm.
I brought it with me when I was in Morocco, and it was really nice because I didn't really know the quality of the water. I didn't really know what was going on. It doesn't replace a filter, but it does really help make sure that everything's structured. So I can travel with it, and then I keep it at
Yes.
home in a glass jar, and I just keep refilling my jar so that it's super structured water. I am
Mhm.
obsessed with it. I
Yep.
think it's such a smart purchase for anyone that is interested in health and wellness to start with a foundationally quality water.
Mhm. You can learn more at analemma-water.com. That's analemma-water.com. And you can use the code almost 30 for 15% off. Thank you so much, Mario.
Yeah, this is such a good one filled with so much information and facts. And I'm really excited for you to listen and learn about why water is so important.
Enjoy this one. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
I don't know if you know this, but there is an alarming lack of transparency in the supplement industry. Products are full of fillers and toxins and synthetic ingredients. It's kind of crazy. And once I learned that, I was like kind of lost. I was like, oh my God, who can we trust? And when Kristen and I found Symbiotica and we interviewed their founder, Shervine, we were like, wow, okay, they are on a mission. They are absolutely wanting to do the utmost of research, years of research to create the best supplements on earth. So they're combining scientific innovation with traditional Eastern medicine, and they design these formulas that synthesize with the body and really work. So I wanted to shout out some of my favorites. All of these are the liposomal delivery method, which is in a liquid form, which is great for absorption. It's also really easy to take. The Symbiotica liposomal magnesium L-threonate. So this is a type of magnesium shown to increase brain magnesium levels much higher than any other form of magnesium. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different magnesiums out there. You probably don't know that we are deficient. Most of us are deficient in magnesium, but it's an essential mineral required for 80% of the body's metabolic functions. So we must be taking magnesium. Key benefits include boosting your brain power, boosting mood, calming your central nervous system, improving your memory. I love this one. I take it every day. I also take the vitamin C. This again comes in a liposomal packet. I just squirt it in my mouth. It's a powerful antioxidant. It plays a key role in immune system function, collagen production. I usually take it when I'm taking collagen at the same time, and healthy aging. And it's such a yummy citrus vanilla flavor. I love it. And then I also take the liposomal vitamin D3 K2 CoQ10. So most of us are also deficient in vitamin D. And vitamin D3 is critical for regulating the absorption of calcium and phosphorus, two minerals that play a key role in the strength and density of teeth and skeletal system. So this is very, very important. It's also really great for mood. It supports your cardiovascular health, supports strong bones. So this is another one that I really love. Check out their shop. You're going to be just blown away at how easy it is to take them, how much you love them, and how well they work. So symbiotica.com, Cymbiotika.com. Use the code almost 30 at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. That's code almost 30 for 15% off your first purchase at symbiotica.com, Cymbiotika.com. Okay, we need to talk about seasonal dryness. Like my skin in the winter gets so crackety crackety and it looks kind of not good, but it also kind of hurts and it itches. And so I have broken out my Osea's anti-aging body balm. Oh my God. It is so amazing. Like the touch, the texture, the feeling on my skin, it leaves it looking so glowy, so moisturized. It's silky, it's ultra rich. It combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the anti aging benefits of a serum. So, a serum and a lotion in one. The jasmine and geranium scent is so freaking beautiful. Like, mm, you are going to turn heads because people are going to be like, what is that smell? That is amazing. So, if your body needs a little love this winter, make sure you visit oseamalibu.com. Okay. oseamalibu.com. All of their products are clean, vegan, cruelty free. They're climate neutral, enriched with seaweed. That is their star ingredient. And all of their products are made in California, which is really amazing. You can feel good about what you're putting on your skin. They're clinically proven and consumer tested, so you know that they work. So the Osea Anti-Aging Body Balm. Oh, you're gonna absolutely love it. Go to oseamalibu.com, OSEA Malibu.com. Use the code almost30 for 10% off. This is a special discount just for our listeners. 10% off your first order site wide with code almost30 at oseamalibu.com. Get free samples with every order, which I love Osea for doing that. Free samples and free shipping on orders over $60. That's oseamalibu.com. Use the code almost30 for 10% off your first order site wide, and you'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60.
It's so lovely. First of all, I would
Oh.
really like to thank you for doing what you're doing, and you really are a beacon of light for the world,
Oh.
especially in this very particular moment.
Mm.
So it's awesome that you're bringing consciousness to the planet, and that's like the number one thing.
Thank you.
Mm.
Just before we start, I kind of really wanted to honor what you're doing.
Mm.
Thank you.
My eyes are watering. I'm really grateful that you said that.
No, no,
We
really,
receive
Thank
really,
you.
that.
it really is so important
Yeah.
that people are using their talents and everything they are
Mm.
to spread what's relevant.
Mhm.
Because times are changing, and this is so important. That's
Mhm.
like, I believe, at least that's the number one thing
Mhm.
that's going to help the transition that we are all in.
For the new earth?
Yes.
New earth
I
Yes.
feel that.
technologies.
And you know what's so interesting is, you know, and with what you're doing too, I feel that same resonance,
Mhm.
Mm.
where you've brought this product to the world, which is much more than just a product, but it is received probably more on like a larger scale as like, huh?
Mhm.
How? What? Like this is crazy. And that's usually how it goes for
Yeah, all
products,
great truths.
experiences that
Yeah,
change the
all
world.
great truths begin as blasphemies. It has
Woo,
always
yeah.
been like that, like from the beginning of time. And I know this is an emerging technology, but it really has the power to change the world. So, so I'm really thrilled to
Mm.
go, into all the details, because this is truly something special. We, all of us in the companies, we're going to go into, we all feel that we're serving this water, not the
Mm.
other way around.
Mm,
We're the stewards of it,
Mm.
not the owners in any way or capacity.
Yeah, Lindsay and I feel like we're stewards of something bigger
mhm.
than us as well. And it really helps keep your ego in check. It really helps keep you mission driven when you
Yes.
feel like it's not just you. So we can really relate. But I'd love to talk about water and the state of water today. A lot of our listeners are super wellness gurus. They sort of know what's
Mm.
going on. But I do want to bring it back to like a very kindergarten level for everyone to understand why water today is such a focus and why you decided to focus on water as the thing that you were going to help steward the change of.
Most definitely. I love this question. Um, To start like from the beginning, most people are unaware that 99% of our molecules are water. We're 70% water in mass, but 99% in molecules. That kind of immediately tells you we're basically very clever H2O. There is something very special about water, and we haven't even paid too much attention to it. So water, all the water actually on the planet, and we've tested a lot, exists in what we call a chaotic state.
Hmm.
So water molecules are constantly crashing into each other and moving chaotically. All of this happens at an atomic level, so we're completely unaware of it. Um, our founders, Dr. Eric Larker and Dolph Zontigen, they actually, 15 years ago, they were worried about the state of the planet. And they kind of took over the lab of famous German scientist Fritz Popp. And they really kind of wanted to find the secret of life, so to speak, to really kind of discover what keeps us healthy, what can help us thrive. And very soon into the research, they zeroed in on water. They realized that water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy. So we are actually, since we are 99% water, exactly that. So to cut the very long story short, they found out how to bring order back into chaos. And they created the analemma. What's analemma is actually a crystal vial that is filled with what we call the mother water. It takes 1 full year to create the mother water. It's water that exists in extraordinarily positive dominant frequency in a highly, highly structured state. And what's lovely is since it's in the crystal vial, which serves as a superconductor. So any H2O molecule that comes into close proximity to it will mimic its exact structure.
Wow.
Is that through
So
entrainment?
when what?
Is that through entrainment? Kind of the same concept?
Well, since, as I mentioned, water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy, it transmits the frequency, and water will always, always pick up the dominant frequency. That's why it's so important to keep our water um, and treat it with reverence,
Mhm.
because we transmit frequency into the water. And
Mm.
people don't pay attention to that at all. And when we drink the water, we're either adding to the chaos or adding to the harmony. And this is very, very dominant harmonic structure of the water. We can go now. I know that you will appreciate this, so maybe I can start with this. We started this biophoton research where every living thing exudes light. And there are very special devices that can capture, very delicate, very sensitive, that they can capture every single photon. So what we did is that we took seeds and we watered seeds with regular water and with analemma water. The seeds watered with regular water flatlined. So there was nothing happening there, no movement in biophotons. But with analemma water, we found out that there is this sinusoidal movement in biophotons, like breathing. You
Mm.
had peaks and you had lows. And this was very interesting, like what was happening there. And after a while, we realized that it moved with tides. So we realized that this water connects you to the moon energy. It connects you to the rhythm of nature.
Wow.
When you drink this water, the same thing happens to us. You're literally, your body becomes an antenna to receive the optimum information. So you flow with nature, with Mother Earth, not separate from it, so to speak. And this research clearly proved it. So this kind of opened the door to everything that we did.
Wow.
So, just to mention plant research, it's extraordinary. Just by watering tomatoes with our water, it the tomatoes will exude 60% more light. They will have 60% more vitality. When you eat that tomato, all that energy ends up in your cell. But of course, when you drink it, it has the same effect.
Mhm.
I want to talk about so water in its natural state. You mentioned that it's chaotic, but I guess
Not it's not it's natural. Let's say that due to
yes.
various
Okay.
environmental and reasons, water came into that particular state. That's why we believe that Mother Earth decided, okay, we need to do something. And the EMFs, everything that's happening currently on the planet, since water is so important, Mother Earth decided, at least this is how we interpret it, to kind of bring this technology so that there is order back into
Mhm.
chaos.
Mhm.
Because we tested this water and radiated it in so many different ways. We tried to push it out of its coherence and we couldn't do it.
Mm.
It's so stable. And when you drink stable water, your entire system becomes stable. Your entire body and mind enter a state of coherence. This is something very interesting. The fastest results you will see with this water is in brain waves. We did double blind twin study. As soon as you take one sip of this water, there is an instant connection between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, an instant cooling effect on your brain waves. What we did 3 weeks after that, we gave our water to the other twin, and the results shifted.
So
And
you
it's
Wow.
you did this
extraordinary
in
to
identical twins. Is that what you
yeah,
said?
identical twins.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
they're
did this in identical
genetically
twins. Yeah.
identical. So
Mhm.
this is the let's say the golden standard of study, because these two individuals are genetically completely identical. So that uh, immediately proved that there is an instant electromagnetic effect as soon as you take a sip of this water. And of course, the rest of the physiology follows.
Mm.
That's why we wanted to definitively prove that something biological remarkable happens when people drink this water. So we're kind of searching for the right tests to do it. And the one that we came up with was glycan age. I don't know, have you heard about them? So
Yes.
it's very interesting what they're doing through the state of glycans in our blood, which are sugar molecules that kind of modify the proteins in our body. And they're measuring. They have two very important kind of areas. One is immunity, and one is inflammation. And through the combination of markers, they can very accurately establish your biological age. So what we did is with the baseline test, then people were drinking a liter and a half of water a day. And after 3 months, we did another test. And there was in almost every single person in the study between 1 and 12 years of biological age rejuvenation. Their whole system got regenerated on cellular level.
Wow.
We asked people in glycanage, how long does it take for glycans to change, like the minimum time? And they told us 3 months. This is exactly what we did.
Mhm.
Wow.
Now we're actually coming out in a couple of days. Actually, we're going to receive, we wanted to confirm the results. We did another one, double blind placebo controlled glycan age study, just to reaffirm the results of the study. So in a couple of days, the results are going to come out. So we're really excited about that too.
Mm. Yeah, it's so fascinating just that, the proximity that we were talking about where it speaks to the consciousness of water, and I follow
Mhm.
some Instagram accounts that experiment with this. They'll talk
Mm.
to the water, or they will put a picture of Jesus near the water, or they will, put various things near the water. And when they freeze the water, there is kind of a miraculous representation connected to whatever is near the water. Um, and so, why, just for our audience who's kind of getting to know this type of technology, like, why is it so important that our water is structured? And what does that mean for our health? I understand that we're mostly water, but what is the connection there just so they can kind of connect the dots?
Yeah, it's actually very fascinating. One way to kind of explain this is if you have a light bulb which has 5 watts, it will give some light. But if you have 5 watt laser, it will actually burn through your table. So laser is a coherent form of light.
Mm.
It's a structured light, so to speak. So colloquially speaking, when H2O molecules join hands together, then they form this very particular structure, and it serves like an antenna. So because it's in its structure, it can receive the optimum frequency and it can actually transmit the optimum frequency. When you send the energy to the water, you are infusing your frequency in it, so to speak. But if water is already in this very particular structured state, it can hold that frequency in much more efficient way.
Yes. Okay.
Since this is also very interesting to know that uh, uh, water in our body is in structured state. It
Mm.
is already, but when we're drinking chaotic water, our body needs to spend loads of energy to bring it in that particular state.
Mm.
Okay.
So when you drink coherent water, it doesn't have to do that. But having said that, this is also coming back to the whole spiritual side of it. This is why it's so important to treat each other with kindness, because whatever you put out, it actually stays there. Water picks up the frequency. When you send dominantly beautiful frequencies, you're literally changing the physiology of other person.
Mm.
That's why water is so important.
So the structure, so we talked about the structure, why that's so important. And I want to just make it super clear what chaotic water is. And would we assume that most of the water that people are drinking from their tap or from public places is chaotic? I guess I want to understand the landscape
Yes.
for where to find chaotic water or what
Yeah.
water
Like
is chaotic.
bottled
Basically,
water
Yeah.
and all
basically
that.
everywhere.
Mhm.
We tested all kinds of water. Basically, any water that you come across with, either it's only if you would like drink it directly from the well, because this is interesting. Since water in rivers, for instance, especially streams, they have this left and right vortexes. So water creates this structure within itself,
Mm.
but as soon as you take it out, it loses its coherence. And there've been several scientists which created some form of structured water, but in our research, we found out that it holds its structure only for a couple of minutes to a day and a half tops. Then the water goes back into chaos. With our water, what's special is its stability. With just one swirl, one treatment of the water, it will stay in this state virtually forever. We're testing it every year now for 5 years. So the water, which was treated just once, stays in that very particular state. And
Wow.
not only that, as I mentioned, we treated it in so many various ways. We tried to push it out of coherence. It always bounces back.
Mm.
That's why it's so special.
Mm.
Mm.
Is this a discovery or is this like do you believe this is a discovery or um almost like a remembrance of like ancient
Mhm.
technology or
I
a
would
hybrid?
definitely say that. That's why I mentioned kind of we firmly believe that Mother Earth is the hidden voice of this project.
Mm.
And it came through us
Mm.
because the world needs it now, especially due to such extraordinary saturation of EMFs, which we proved it in our research that EMFs push water into chaos. And not only that, they push us into chaos. We tested brainwaves. And when people use cell phones, their brainwaves
Yeah.
go berserk. We proved this. Not a lot of people went into that part since we were doing the brainwave research. We realized, and we did actually a pilot study where we gave several people cell phones. They used it for a couple of minutes. Then we gave regular water to some, and Analemma water to some of them, and. People who drank analemma water, again, instant cooling effect on the brain waves. So it just bounces back. It kind of counter effects the negative influence of EMFs on the brain waves, while people drinking regular water, basically nothing happened. So that's the fastest
Mhm.
action this water has. Since brainwaves are electromagnetic phenomenon, it works immediately.
Does structuring your water also prevent some of the things? Because I think there's a lot of information out there about in our water, there are things like xenoestrogens and pollutants and microplastics. By structuring your water, are you able to counteract the negative impact of those things as well?
I cannot actually say that
Hmm.
because we haven't actually tested it. But what I can say is water needs to be filtered. So
Hmm.
this is not going to treat the water chemically. We are actually now developing a flagship model, which would kind of really purify the water from all the pollutants and bring it into coherent state. So that's going to be really awesome. But the main thing this water does, it unleashes the true power of water. So when you purify the pollutants and swirl the analemma through, those H2O molecules will form this beautiful liquid crystalline structure,
Mm.
which has profound influence on our entire biology.
Can we walk our audience through how to use
Hmm.
an enema so they
Yes.
understand how long we stir it? Can
Yeah,
we put it
it's
in
actually
water with
yeah, it's
salt?
very yeah, it's very simple. So
Mhm.
for 3 deciliters of water, you just swirl it for, let's say, half a minute. And as you kind of have bigger pitchers or whatever, bigger quantities of water, you need to swirl longer. Very soon, actually, in very, I believe, within early January, we are going to launch whole house analemma, which is you
Can't
kind of
wait.
just install it, yeah, yeah, into piping system of your house,
Wow.
and all of the water in your house is going to be coherent. So that's lovely.
And then the mother water, I guess for the technology, so people can understand. I'm looking at it almost looks like a wand filled with water, and then there's some space for air for it to move up and down. What makes the mother water so powerful? How do you create the technology within the mother water to lift the
Yeah.
vibration or structure all other water around it?
So I cannot say too much about it, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
can tell you that it takes 1 full year to create it.
Does it involve
And
sound?
yes, it involves all the mechanical processes. So we are not using electricity. We are not using vortexing. We are not using magnets. So it doesn't have anything to do. But because of this very particular process that we use, that's why water stays in this very, very, very stable state.
Mm.
Wow. How I guess my question is, and you spoke about the home system, but are you thinking about this? And I'm sure you are. I'm just curious what it entails on a global level. So
Mhm.
if we're thinking about, providing coherent water to the masses and in a way that's scalable and
Yes.
accessible, is
Yeah,
there a
we are
vision?
actually
Is there a
working.
vision there?
Yeah, definitely. This is actually our whole mission statement. We want to make all bodies of water on this planet coherent. We already developed technologies that we can install in the wells of the biggest rivers. Then all the life down the line would thrive. We already know that this water changes the microbiome. This is something that I can touch upon now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we took completely depleted land, completely destroyed with various chemicals. And one chunk of it we watered with regular water and one with analemma water. So the chunk watered with regular water, nothing happened. And with analemma water, there was a huge explosion in the biodiversity of the microbiome. So much so that it became extraordinarily fertile, and so much so that the bacteria in the land started to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere. This could be one of the easiest ways to treat greenhouse gases
Wow.
because you just water the land with it, and the microbiome of the land would change and suck the CO2 out of the atmosphere into the land where it belongs.
I mean,
So that's why our kind of idea, whole mission, our dream, so to speak, is if we install this at the wells of the biggest river, then not only rivers but oceans would become coherent. Entire planet
Mhm.
would become coherent. Next step definitely would be to go to the cities
Mhm.
and install our equipment in water supplies, because this water, you're probably aware that you cannot move water rectangularly. It loses vitality. It loses its vitality extraordinarily fast.
Mm.
But with our water, since it's so stable, wherever it goes, when you open your faucet, you will get coherent water coming out. So this is the end game.
When
mhm.
you say moving water rectangularly, what exactly do you mean? I'm not sure.
Water in piping systems
Yes.
in
Uh-huh.
the cities and in the homes always go like this.
Yes.
Water doesn't move that way.
Wow.
Water always wants to flow naturally. It
Mm,
doesn't have this square movements.
mm.
It kills its vitality.
Oh my gosh. What are some other
Yeah.
facts and figures around things like that? Because I think there's that's sort of stuff
Mhm.
so interesting to me how we are just naturally not setting ourselves up for an organic life or an organic way of living to support how things work naturally. And that's a
Mhm.
perfect example. What are some other
Yes.
things as it relates to water and the way that we're treating water or the way that we've sort of um, been drinking water that just do not make sense naturally?
That's you mentioned it perfectly. Why it wasn't so much relevant as it is today, because people used to just go to the river and drink water because it was pure. And water, due to this left and right vortexes, it stayed in this coherent state, and you can drink it, and it was pure. It was as nature intended. But since now we are not living naturally, so to speak. We're living in these boxes. We are we are not connected to the rhythms of nature. Nature decided to help us out with this. At least that's how we see it, because then we can, just by drinking this water, we can counter effect all of the quote unquote negativities
Mm.
of modern life.
Just a quick fire. Is rainwater coherent? Are the oceans coherent? I guess
No,
what natural sources are
we
coherent?
tested it, it's not. and,
Why?
and you know why it's becoming more and more, why the situation is worsening now. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of 5G satellites being placed in low orbit. All of this radiation goes through the clouds, so it's not going to get better, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to kind of, because all of this water then falls down uh, on the soil, on the land we're drinking it. So it's important that we bring the harmony back to our water.
Mhm. Have you encountered any resistance to the work that you're doing and the scientific research that you're doing? Because
Mm.
I would hope that, those in power that control water systems and sources and all of these things would want to be doing this research. That's the hope. But I
Our
understand.
whole thing is that we are investing big time in the science. We want to make this irrefutable
Yeah.
to anyone. That's why we are investing so much. People who are into consciousness, they immediately experience the effect. They know that there is something special with it. But we are investing in the science so that anybody will know, go through the studies, and realize that if you drink this water, you are going to create something beautiful and lasting for your overall health and wellness. So we are actually hoping that people are now coming on board and joining what we say the water revolution, so that we can kind of together change the planet in that very particular way. There were in the very beginning, now not so much, people kind of didn't understand the concept. So it was hard to kind of explain. But when they see the data, when they see the studies, then it's something completely different. Then it becomes irrefutable. I have to
Mhm.
mention one more study. It just very recently, I believe 2 weeks ago, the results came through. So we did double-blind, placebo-controlled ATP study where we're measuring the rise in cellular energy of our body when people drink this water. So there's a very particular method that we measured the ATP levels. We did the baseline test. And then after 2 months, where people were drinking 1.5 liters of water a day, then we did another test. And the results were phenomenal. There is significant rise in entire energy of your body just by drinking this water. People didn't change their exercise regime. They didn't change their diet. They didn't change anything
Wow.
else. So just by drinking this water, no, it's kind of a ultimate biohacking tool because it
Mhm.
changes your microbiome, it changes your biological age, it keeps you healthy, it increases the energy of your body just by drinking the water. And all of us, we all need to drink the water anyhow.
Mhm.
It's so funny, like since I'm a kind of also huge health nut. So, all of us, we kind of use all kinds of supplements. And after a while, you kind of feel, okay, I'm taking 15 pills a day and I'm healthy, you
Mhm.
know? Um, but with this you're kind of really covering a big ground.
Absolutely. When you were speaking, I was thinking about climate change and how connected that is, and how that is such a hot topic, and how if you say it's anything but X causing
Mhm.
climate change, then it's not really valid. But it kind of feels like this is a huge piece if you're talking about the radiation through the clouds, the rainwater, the this,
Mhm.
and how the
Yeah,
land is basically
everything.
being
But
depleted of the, nutrients it needs to grow to grow the green that takes the CO2 out of the air. Like, it just seems
everything
foundational.
is connected.
Mhm.
So it kind of checks a lot of boxes. I really would like to kind of touch upon that because it's extraordinarily important, especially at this point in time, because we are not helping our bodies to thrive. I don't know if you're aware, but spinach, for instance, 15 years ago had 80% more nutrients than now. I'm not talking about organic, I'm talking about regular. So by watering our produce with this kind of water, we are dramatically increasing the nutrients in it. Because when you change the microbiome of the soil, you are literally changing the quality of the produce. And as I mentioned, we already tested on various fruits and veggies that the vitality of it is much, much higher than of the same fruits and veggies watered with regular water. So with this, we really can change a lot.
I'm curious
We are
about
now investing also in agriculture studies. So very soon, I believe within the next 3 to 5 months, we're going to come with new results as well in that particular field.
I'm curious about the impact on mental health. If we're thinking about how EMFs and 5G can impact brain waves, and then we also think about the effect of water on the microbiome, it feels like this would have a direct correlation to mental health. Do you have any
It,
insight on that?
we are actually exactly working on it.
Mm.
We are working on especially microbiome. This is now in the last 15 years, doctors realize the extraordinary connection of the microbiome with basically any area of the health, and definitely mental health. So we are working very hard. We are going to come up with, we already know that it changes brain waves instantly, and we already know that it improves the microbiome. But we are going to go now specifically to exact
Mhm.
correlation between the state of microbiome and mental health and any other area. We there are so many areas that we want to go, but we don't have time to cover all of it. But wherever we are kind of inspired to go first, we go. So that's why we did the biological age rejuvenation. We did the ATP, so entire cellular energy. We did the microbiome. We are now doing the agriculture, and there are also several skin things that we, because when you take a bath in coherent water, it also has a profound influence on your entire your skin. Your
Mhm.
skin is the largest organ in your body. So these are all the things that we are very excited to go into. It will just take some time. We didn't want to wait any longer. This whole story is like 15 years in coming.
Mhm.
So we just decided, okay, let's go. Let's come out with it so people can get the benefit. And we're just going to, every single year, we're going to add at least three to
Mhm.
five new studies.
I really love the fact that, um, using the
Mhm.
what do you call it? Are you calling it a wand? Are you calling
A
it
wand,
a
yeah,
wand,
yeah.
right?
People are
Um,
calling it magic wand
I
all the
know, the
time.
magic wand.
Mhm.
Like, using it is creating this reverence and ritual around drinking water that I think is really beautiful, and also, I can imagine, also adds to the consciousness of the water. If you're standing there and stirring your water for 30 seconds and just taking a moment to pause and be present and know that you're doing something amazing for your body and your health, I don't know, I can't imagine that that's not adding to the effects as well. So I just think it's really beautiful. I was laughing because I was listening to you on Dave Asprey's podcast, and I love Dave, and he was like, "So can I, like, put this in my blender and just speed up the process?" Like,
Yes.
60 seconds was, like, too long. Like, I don't wanna sit here for
Honestly.
60 seconds. I
You
love
were like,
him.
"You're putting it on plastic."
And I'm like, "Wow, we can't stand for 60 seconds and stir our water," and I totally
Yes.
get it. People are on the go and they're like, "I don't wanna add another thing," but I'm like, "But maybe we add that thing for 60 seconds
Mhm.
where we pause and give
I
reverence to
love,
the
I love
water."
what you're saying. I love what you're saying right now, because this is exactly, I believe, what we need. Because you're stopping. First of all, that's a
Mhm.
moment of meditation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're kind of coming into consciousness. I'm doing something wonderful for myself at this moment. So it all comes together. But understanding where people are, we're developing various applications. So we very soon we're going to coming up with a beautiful pitcher, like a
Mhm.
decanter, not for wine but for water, which will
Wow.
have double bottom, which will have this also crystal part where it's filled with mother water. So you just have to kind of put the water in and leave it for a while. But I love what you just mentioned. This moment of stopping and putting all of your reverence into water. This can change people's lives. Just this 60 seconds. And when you do this 4 or 5 times a day, you're literally changing your entire life doing
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. I want to talk about the crystals in it because I don't think we talked about that. So we talked about the mother water, which is in the
Mhm.
wand, but how important is the crystal element and what kind of crystal is it?
So this is crystal, actually doesn't have an action per se. Crystal acts as a superconductor. It actually transmits the frequency without any loss. Because
Mm.
when we put it in glass, we realized that the frequency is still doing the job, but not as effective as when we put it in crystal. It's like it's there, but it's not there. That's
Mhm.
why it's so elegant.
Mhm.
Mm.
The frequency of mother water comes outside, and any H2O molecule that comes into close proximity to it mimic its exact structure.
Mhm.
And it's quartz crystal.
It's quartz crystal. Yeah.
Got it.
It's beautiful that, quartz crystal is in the galactic alien community. It's like this computer of information being held within the crystals of the earth. And it's a great place to store information. So I guess it's storing and amplifying and or not amplifying, holding the information that is held in the
Mhm.
mother water.
Yes.
Wow.
That's it's perfect and beautiful service, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Mm.
Mm.
So it's just like, it's interesting how everything correlates together. Water is, as I mentioned, broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of frequency, energy, and vibration. So it serves as an antenna. It actually picks up relevant information that universe moves with, and crystal just transmits it into the water. So it's elegant and it's beautiful in the same way. And it's lovely, just for all the people. You need to take care of it.
Mhm.
It's very delicate. So if you drop it, it will break.
Mhm.
But if you take care of it, it will make coherent water for you for life.
Wow.
Mm. It's almost like a consciousness. There's like sound bowls and there's certain spiritual items that you almost have to treat as if they have their own consciousness and it's like its own entity. And it is like that. It's like this living, breathing thing that you're co creating or working with that deserves reverence, like what Lindsay said.
Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, water itself, it has such a profound intelligence because it responds to what we give it to her. That's why I love the work by Dr. Masaru Emoto.
Hmm.
He was like the pioneer. He showed us what you give out to the water, you actually see it in physical shape. Since we are water, that's why I mentioned this already. I love this whole kind of, it keeps you conscious.
Hmm.
If I'm if I'm sending negative vibes, they're staying there. And if I'm sending positive vibes, I'm actually literally having a positive effect on somebody in front of me
Mm.
through the water. Water is the mechanism.
There's a new
Beautiful.
water product on the market that's sort of come on in the past couple years. It's a brand of water, and it's called Liquid Death. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that because I feel like that's something that we've been thinking about where, if there is an impact of water on people and then you're putting it in a can that says Liquid Death on it with a flaming skull, that would probably provide a very chaotic type of water structure that
Mhm.
then people are consuming. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Whatever you put, I mean, Masaru actually created this experiment with rice and water. So on one, he put, I love you. And the other one, I don't know what,
It's like, "I hate
I
you."
hate you or
Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
that. And the one completely started to rot in a very short period of time. And the one that just had, I love you on it, it has this beautiful fermented smell in it and no rotting whatsoever. So the message you put on the water will definitely have profound effects on what's inside. And when you drink it, you're actually directly sending this to you. There is this, you're probably aware, there's this energy drink called Hell.
Oh god,
I
no.
can the ener
Hell
there's
energy.
nothing darker than the energy drink world.
I
Honestly,
know,
it
I
is like
know.
Satan's
I
So it's
completely
Satan's
agree.
7-Eleven is full of energy drinks.
Wow.
It's crazy.
yeah. So here in Europe, we have Hell energy. And it's in Kansas, like, it's ridiculous. Every time I look at it, it was like, no, no, you don't want to drink that. I don't want this anywhere near, not me, but
Wow.
any kind of liquid that I'm drinking. So
100%.
I'm coming to a kind of a shop, and there is this Hell drink and water next to it. I'm going to choose another kind of a fridge to get another water, because
Wow.
water picks up a vibe.
Mhm.
It picks up the dominant frequency.
Yes.
So that's why we need to treat. That's the whole secret behind, ancient cultures. Always before any meal, they bless the food. This is when you're blessed the food, you're giving it the highest frequency possible, and then you consume it, and then that frequency enters into your system, and it has a profound effect. I
Mhm.
never eat any meal without blessing it first. Once you understand the mechanism behind it, you are not going to it will not pass below your radar.
Mhm. And you feel a difference, when you bless your
Yes.
food or when
Yeah.
you're cooking the food and just infusing it with
Yes.
love and good intention and you're having fun, it it digests differently.
Mhm.
Definitely. And now we're going into spiritual water, but I love it.
Mhm.
This is what I love about blessings. When you really bless something or someone, it first goes through you. You get all the benefits of it. You
Mm,
feel it. I always feel when my blessing actually went out and touched somebody, because it passes through me first.
mm,
And you can sense that energetically.
Mm.
And I love that. And when people experience that, then you don't want to do anything else,
Mhm.
because you experience this joy that kind of goes out of you.
I guess if we're thinking about, to kind of go for a right turn quickly, it's like if we're thinking about the brand of hell water and we're thinking about the brand of liquid death, like what is, if it's not a nefarious intention, I'm trying to understand what the intention would be to brand and market your drink like with that name. And it doesn't need to be so conspiratorial, but I guess are they playing on people's like the rebellious instinct of people to think that hell is cool or that this type
Yes,
of
I
thing
would I
is
would think
cool?
that I never kind of think that people are kind of consciously doing that. I
Mm,
just believe they're completely unaware. People
mhm.
have, through the history, have done all kinds of crazy things, not knowing what they were doing. If they knew what they were doing, they would never in a million years did it. And I believe it's just kind of a cool thing. Maybe it's just my believer
mhm,
in, I'm a huge believer in, like there is goodness in everything.
mhm,
People are just unconscious,
Yeah.
and they can be severely unconscious, but still, underneath everything, there is still divine spark in everyone.
Mhm.
mm,
Just a tactical question around what you put water in. So we have cans, we have glass, we have plastic, we have like paper, cardboard type
aluminum.
aluminum. And we took a metals and minerals test recently. I'm
Oh,
like, damn, I do
yeah.
drink a lot of like spindrift from a can, and there was
Yeah.
some
Aluminum
aluminum.
Yes.
and
Um,
copper.
So I'm curious, have you done any studies on that, or have you read anything about what you put water in and just how it permeates?
Definitely. As I mentioned, water is going to pick up wherever whatever it resides,
Mm,
it will just receive inside whatever, So plastic, definitely, like you mentioned, aluminum, heavy metals. So the best way to store and drink water from is glass.
Yep.
Like, that's a given. Any natural material is okay, but anything else I would stay away from.
Okay.
It's interesting about glass because it's the only thing of those that see through. And it's almost like the sun is able to then support the structuring or health of the water
Mm,
because it's able to pass through the glass. Do you think that would be true as it relates to it being the best place to put water?
Most definitely. And I have to say that there is, the name Analemma. What is actually the name Analemma? We realize that water and sun are hugely related. Water changes electromagnetically due to position of the earth towards the sun. So if you take a photo of the sun from one single spot from the planet for 365 days, what you're going to get is this beautiful infinity sign on the sky. This is what's called Analemma. That's why we called it that way. In the during
mm,
the glycanage study, we asked people, participants of the study, to every single day expose their analemma to the sun, because we know that it has a profound effect on it. What's interesting? One lady, she put her analemma at the very same spot. She has this kind of very small garden or very short plants on every single day on the same spot. And after a month, she actually sent us a photo. It's like you drew a circle around the analemma. All the plants
Mm.
grew inch and a half higher than anywhere else in the small garden.
wow.
That's the effect that this water has on biological systems.
Wow.
And you know how you can test it yourself? It's really something that anybody that owns an lemma can do. You can take two basil plants. I already mentioned this so you probably heard it on Dave, but it's really lovely things to observe. When you kind of take two basil plants, you water one with regular water, one with analemma water for 3 weeks, and then you cut their water supply, and then you see what's going to happen. After a couple of days, after 2 days, the one watered with regular water would shrivel down, and the one watered with analemma water would remain its its how to call it, vibrancy.
Mhm.
Mm.
And even if when it starts to, this is also something interesting, even if it starts to kind of go down, just water it with one sip of analemma water. Within 10 minutes, it will go back to its full potential. And you will
Wow.
not see this with regular water. So the resilience of plants is extraordinary when you water it with analemma water. So much so, actually, is that we had a greenhouse that we kind of did our tests with. So we kind of grew tomatoes, and we took the seeds out and planted it in, and we did it for 3 generations. It's progressive. After 3 generations, you almost don't need to use any pesticides. It becomes so resilient. When you drink
Wow.
this water, your body becomes resilient.
Fascinating. So if we didn't need pesticides.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Oof.
Last thing on that. It's kind of what Lindsay was getting to. And I
Mhm.
don't want to be negative, but I just am always curious. I'm like, okay, so if this was working and we had NLMA in our water systems and people had access to structured water, this would disrupt the pharmaceutical industry. It would disrupt the agricultural industry, um, pesticides,
Pesticides.
companies like Monsanto. So, I just I'm like, are there people that would have interest in not having this work?
Well, I understand your question very well, but my mind always goes to the positive.
Yeah.
I don't want to even kind of go into that. I
Yeah.
completely understand you.
Yeah.
And most definitely, there would be powers,
Mhm.
who would be maybe interested in kind of not allowing this water to kind of to see the light of day,
Mhm.
so to speak.
But the
But
light
I kind of
prevails.
believe,
Mhm.
yes, I kind of believe that, when you get to the bottom of it, there is higher intelligence which runs the universe.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I believe that we are, however dark
Mhm.
things look at the moment, we are transitioning to light.
Mhm.
And light cannot be stopped. I mean, that's the
Mhm.
all of this is part of the process,
Mhm.
at least as I see it. So we needed to come to this very particular space. Everything is happening exactly the way it should. It's all part of this process where we're growing. All of this, I believe that all of these things were present always, but now everything is coming up so that we can own it, that we can observe it, and then we
Mm.
can re-choose.
Mm.
We as a humanity, at least in my eye, we need to choose something different.
Mm.
And now everything is coming up for us to make that choice. And the more of us make that choice, then it will just become collective.
Mm. It's beautiful. From one star seed to another. I can very much tell. Um,
Yeah, well, I can tell you, that's why I kind of wanted to tell you in the beginning, it's awesome work that you're doing, and it's
mhm.
extraordinarily important what you're doing. So
Mm.
we are all like little lighthouses everywhere
Yes.
we are,
Mhm.
and we are creating a network.
Mhm.
This is our 5G,
Yes.
so to
Mhm.
speak,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so that we kind of create um, environments for people to get the relevant information,
Mhm.
so we can all get back to natural way of living.
Mm.
That's why I'm saying this water. That's why we're saying that this water is a conscious water, because it connects you to the natural rhythm of the universe. It connects you electromagnetically to the Mother Earth.
Mm.
And this is what we need, not to be separate from one another and from the environment, but to become aware once again that we are Mother Earth. We are the environment. We are each other. We
Mhm.
are not separate in any way or form.
Mm.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just am so grateful for this technology. And what I love so much about it is technology, but it is also simple and it is also natural. So when we think about biohacking and we think about a lot of the tools that come on the market, they can almost be, um, yeah, they can just be superfluous. It's not really necessary or needed, but this is something that's so incredibly important, something that's so incredibly simple. and something that is able to impact people in the way that they most need, which is, unique to them. So I'm so grateful. I'm so glad to have it. I've been structuring the water for myself and my kitties because we all deserve to have structured water.
Mhm.
And so I think this is going to be so impactful for all of our listeners to get to use for their home and to use for themselves and people that they love. I could not recommend getting it enough.
Yes, and we have a code. You can use the code almost 30
Mhm.
for a discount. Thank you
Thank you,
again.
thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for doing exactly what you're doing and
Mm,
get the message across. This is
mm,
what we need now.
mm,
Like I kind of mentioned this in my podcast. Water is teaching us a lesson.
mhm,
World is now in a chaotic state. We're crashing into each other constantly. But when we join hands, then our true power is being unleashed. In the same way, true power water is being unleashed.
Mhm.
mm,
Water molecules join hands, and then their true power is being unleashed. This is what we
mm,
need to do as a humanity.
mm.
Then nothing will stop us.
Amen.
Yeah,
Nothing
totally.
in my eye can stop the
Yeah.
beautiful future coming.
Mm,
So we just need to kind of pass through whatever we are passing at the moment and do our thing and keep our eye on the ball.
mhm.
Keep focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We got this.
Thank you so much, Mario. Again, that's Analemma water. You can use code almost 30 to get your wand today.
And thank you all so much for listening to Almost 30. We know you have a lot of options out there. So just being a part of your week is something we don't take for granted. If you want to learn more about Almost 30 and what we have going on, including the membership, our programs, and more, you can go to almost30.com.
We love you.
See you soon.